A young mother and accomplished entrepreneur who appeared to have the ideal love story found herself ensnared in a marriage rooted in deceit and manipulation. What started as a passionate romance quickly devolved into a nightmare of control and greed. When she finally escaped, her efforts to rebuild her life and safeguard her child provoked jealousy and rage, culminating in a shocking act of violence that left. In January 2018, 28-year-old Simone Carter was establishing herself as a leader in Jackson, Mississippi's wellness scene. Operating from her downtown fitness studio, she managed over 200 clients and employed 3 trainers. Her business generated more than $180,000 annually, solidifying her reputation as a successful young entrepreneur. Simone's success was a testament to her dedication and perseverance. After earning a biology degree from Jackson State University in 2012, she worked 2 jobs as a healthcare worker and a part-time fitness instructor before saving $45,000 to launch her business by 2016. Her fitness and wellness content on social media attracted over 50,000 followers, further boosting her brand. On March 15, 2018, Simone attended a networking event at the Jackson Convention Complex, where she met Marcus Bishop, a 35-year-old who presented himself as an entrepreneur. Driving a leased Mercedes-Benz S-Class and dressed in designer suits, Bishop exuded success. However, investigations would later reveal that he lacked legitimate business ventures, relying instead on dubious investment schemes and debts owed by former partners in Tennessee and Alabama. Despite warnings from her sister Rachel and best friend Michelle, Simone pursued a relationship with Bishop, who deliberately targeted her with frequent visits to her studio and lavish gifts bought on credit. At the time, he was burdened with $145,000 in credit card debt. The couple married on September 22, 2018, in a $75,000 ceremony, 80% of which Simone funded. Within 3 months, Bishop persuaded her to add him to her business and credit accounts. By December, he had racked up $32,000 in unauthorized expenses. Their son Jalen was born on February 12, 2019. During her maternity leave, Bishop attempted to take over her business operations unsuccessfully. Financial records later showed that in 2019 alone, Bishop spent over $95,000 of Simone's money on personal indulgences, including gambling. By early 2020, Simone discovered that Bishop had tried to secure a $150,000 loan using her business information without her consent and had met with buyers under the false pretense of owning her business. This evidence of his manipulation prompted Simone to file for divorce in March 2020. Bishop responded by refusing to vacate their home, making threats to her employees, and discouraging clients from attending her sessions. Police were called to their residence 3 times between March and May 2020, but no charges were filed at Simone's request. The divorce revealed the extent of Bishop's financial abuse. A forensic accountant found that he had drained their joint accounts, maxed out credit cards, and attempted to claim ownership of her business. Additionally, Bishop had a history of similar behavior with 2 ex-girlfriends, both of whom reported nearly identical financial exploitation. By June 2020, Simone obtained a restraining order against Bishop after he threatened her during custody exchanges. Despite erratic behavior, including following her to work and driving past her home, his actions remained just within the bounds of legality, limiting law enforcement's ability to act. After finalizing her divorce in September 2020, Simone focused on rebuilding her life and protecting her son. She purchased a $385,000 home in Jackson's historic Belhaven neighborhood and restructured her business, implementing stronger financial controls. By January 2021, her business thrived with a growing client base that included athletes and executives, allowing her to earn $225,000 annually. In March 2021, Simone met Jordan Miller, a history teacher and debate coach with a clean record and a master's degree in education. Their relationship grew cautiously, with Miller showing genuine care for Jalen and supporting a positive relationship with his father. Meanwhile, Marcus Bishop's life unraveled. He moved into a modest apartment after losing access to Simone's finances and was fired from multiple car dealership jobs for suspicious activity. His behavior grew increasingly alarming as security footage showed him driving past Simone's home late at night and using fake social media accounts to monitor her. In July 2021, he violated their custody agreement, keeping Jalen 2 extra days and leaving threatening voicemails when Simone considered legal action. Simone filed 2 police reports in August 2021, one for an uninvited appearance at her business and another for impersonating her accountant to access her financial records. Bishop's careful avoidance of direct threats left law enforcement limited to verbal warnings. In early September 2021, Miller moved in with Simone and Jalen, further enraging Bishop. Surveillance footage from September 10th captured him parked outside their home for 6 hours, filming their activities. He claimed to be protecting his son from Miller, but his intentions were far more sinister. Marcus Bishop began preparing for his escape by acquiring weapons and funds, as revealed through credit card statements. On September 13, 2021, he purchased a 9mm handgun and ammunition from a pawn shop in Pearl, Mississippi, along with a prepaid phone and $8,000 in cash from various payday loan services. These actions, investigators later determined, were part of his meticulous planning for the events that followed. The events of September 15, 2021, were pieced together using police reports, witness accounts, surveillance footage, and forensic evidence. At 9:30 a.m., Simone Carter's home security system recorded her playing outside with her son Jalen, while Jordan Miller worked at the dining table grading papers. Phone records show Simone made several calls about a planned trip to the Mississippi Children's Museum. At 2:27 p.m., security cameras from nearby homes recorded Marcus Bishop parking his 2018 Honda Accord about 300 feet from Simone's home. Wearing a black jacket despite the warm weather, Bishop approached the house at 2:29 p.m. and repeatedly checked his right jacket pocket, where investigators later confirmed he concealed the 9mm handgun he had purchased 2 days earlier. According to Miller's later testimony, Simone initially refused to let Bishop in when he knocked. However, after he loudly claimed he needed to discuss Jalen's doctor's appointment, she reluctantly allowed him inside to avoid upsetting their son. Once inside, Bishop accused Simone of intentionally scheduling events during his visitation times. As captured by the home's security system, he became more agitated, yelling at Miller for trying to play daddy to his son. At 2:34 p.m., Miller tried to calm the situation by suggesting a formal meeting with their lawyers. Bishop responded aggressively, shouting, "You don't get to tell me how to handle my family." At 2:35 p.m., Bishop pulled the gun from his jacket. Security footage showed Simone pushing Jalen behind her as Bishop fired the first shot, striking her in the face. Forensic evidence showed 6 more shots were fired in rapid succession, all aimed at her head and torso. The medical examiner confirmed that any of the first 3 shots would have been fatal. Miller was shot once in the abdomen at 2:35 and 51 seconds, causing damage to his intestine and spine. Bishop fled the house at 2:36 p.m., and the entire incident lasted approximately 7 minutes. Emergency calls were made between 2:36 and 2:37 p.m. Officer Sarah Martinez arrived at 2:41 p.m. and found Jalen hiding in a kitchen cabinet, physically unharmed but in severe shock. Despite his injuries, Miller had called 911 while trying to control his bleeding. Paramedics arrived at 2:44 p.m., pronouncing Simone dead on the scene. Miller was taken to the University of Mississippi Medical Center in critical condition, undergoing 7 hours of surgery to address the damage. Detective James Rodriguez led the crime scene investigation, which recovered 7 shell casings and documented the bullet trajectories. Blood pattern analysis showed Simone was standing when the first shot hit her and fell before the subsequent shots, indicating an execution-style attack. Jalen, who witnessed the murder from less than 10 feet away, was taken to a hospital for evaluation. Medical reports noted he remained nonverbal for 72 hours and was diagnosed with severe acute stress disorder, which later progressed to PTSD. The murder weapon was not found at the scene. Authorities implemented an immediate lockdown, but Bishop had already fled. Traffic cameras showed his car heading east on Interstate 20 at 2:52 p.m., 16 minutes after the shooting. His parking location and quick escape route suggested premeditation, a key detail during his later trial. The search for Bishop began swiftly. By 6 p.m., the U.S. Marshal Service was involved, labeling Bishop a high-priority fugitive. Investigators uncovered his escape preparations, including withdrawing $8,000, purchasing prepaid phones, and emptying his bank accounts. 2 days before the murder, Bishop cleared out his apartment and rented a white Toyota Camry using a false identity. Surveillance footage showed him abandoning his Honda Accord in Meridian, Mississippi, and transferring items to the rented car. The manhunt intensified when Bishop was spotted at a gas station in Montgomery, Alabama, on the evening of September 15. U.S. Marshal Thomas Parker mobilized task force teams across the Southeast, offering a $155,000 reward for information. Digital forensics revealed encrypted messages from Bishop to former coworkers, including one stating, "Simone destroyed everything I built. She got what she deserved." Another message read, "Now my son will know what happens to people who try to steal another man's family." On September 20th, authorities located Bishop in the Atlanta area using cell tower data. Surveillance teams observed him checking into the Pine Ridge Motel in DeVille, Georgia, under the alias Michael Stevens. Over the next 5 days, investigators documented his activities, noting that he rarely left his room and used the motel computer to research Mexican border crossings. A later search of his room uncovered travel guides and $3,200 in cash. Law enforcement carefully planned Bishop's arrest, anticipating potential violence. On September 25th at 4:30 a.m., they executed their operation. Tactical teams surrounded the motel, using thermal imaging to confirm that Bishop was alone and asleep. At 4:45 a.m., Marshal Parker authorized the entry. Bishop surrendered without resistance, though investigators found a loaded handgun within arm's reach on the bed. The search of the room uncovered critical evidence, including the murder weapon, a Smith & Wesson 9mm pistol, confirmed by ballistics to match the crime scene. Investigators also discovered a journal containing detailed notes on Simone's daily schedule, Jordan Miller's work hours, and layouts of Simone's home and business, further supporting the prosecution's case for premeditation. Bishop was taken into federal custody within hours of his arrest. He waived extradition and was transported back to Mississippi by U.S. Marshals on September 26th. Upon arrival at the Hinds County Detention Center, he faced charges of first-degree murder, attempted murder, child endangerment, and multiple firearms violations. The district attorney's office quickly began preparing for one of Jackson's most prominent domestic violence trials. Simone Carter's murder left a profound impact on the Jackson community. Her funeral on September 21, 2021, held at First Baptist Church, drew over 600 attendees. Police implemented extra security measures, fearing Bishop, still at large at the time, might appear. Medical records from Children's of Mississippi Hospital documented Jalen's severe psychological distress. In the week following the incident, the 3-year-old exhibited symptoms such as night terrors, selective mutism, and extreme separation anxiety. Child psychiatrist Dr. Robert Thompson diagnosed him with severe PTSD, noting the long-term developmental challenges caused by witnessing his mother's murder. On September 17, 2021, the Jackson County Family Court granted emergency custody of Jalen to Simone's parents, Michael and Patricia Carter. Both retired educators, they enrolled him in intensive trauma-focused therapy. Reports from his therapist highlighted extreme fear reactions to loud noises and male authority figures, necessitating specialized therapy sessions 3 times per week. Jordan Miller spent 2 weeks in the intensive care unit at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. His medical records detailed extensive injuries from the gunshot wound, requiring 3 additional surgeries to repair his intestines. Physical therapy began in October 2021, but doctors warned that he might never fully recover from nerve damage in his lower body. Despite his condition, Miller provided vital testimony to investigators from his hospital bed, helping to establish the sequence of events. The financial strain on Simone's family was immense, with medical expenses for Jalen's therapy and Miller's surgeries surpassing $450,000. The community rallied to support them, raising over $175,000 for Jalen's care through fundraising efforts. Local business leaders donated an additional $100,000 to cover immediate medical and therapy costs. Court documents revealed that Miller continued to suffer from PTSD and depression, and his testimony during pretrial hearings described the escalation of Bishop's financial and emotional abuse toward Simone. Patricia Carter became a prominent advocate for domestic violence awareness. She participated in interviews and community events, sharing details about the warning signs she observed in Bishop's behavior. Her efforts contributed to the implementation of stricter domestic violence screening protocols for family court judges. In Simone's professional community, her legacy inspired action. Her clients organized a memorial fitness event, raising $85,000 for domestic violence prevention programs. Fellow fitness instructors noted increased awareness among their clients, with many crediting Simone's story for helping them leave abusive relationships. Marcus Bishop's trial began on January 10, 2022, in Hinds County Circuit Court, presided over by Judge David Martinez. District Attorney Sarah Williams led the prosecution, presenting a well-organized case highlighting Bishop's financial exploitation, emotional abuse, and premeditated actions. The prosecution's opening statements emphasized Bishop's deliberate planning, including financial withdrawals, weapon purchases, and escape route arrangements. Cell phone data revealed weeks of surveillance on Simone's home and Miller's schedule. Jordan Miller's testimony on January 15, 2022, was pivotal. Despite his physical challenges, he spent 4 hours recounting the events leading up to the shooting. His detailed account of Bishop's threats during custody exchanges and the final confrontation aligned with medical records and photographs, which corroborated the extent of his injuries. Forensic evidence strengthened the case, with ballistics expert Dr. James Harrison confirming all 7 bullets recovered at the scene matched Bishop's firearm. Crime scene analyst Maria Rodriguez illustrated how the bullet trajectories proved Simone was shot even after falling, supporting the argument of premeditation. Digital evidence further implicated Bishop. Forensics expert Thomas Anderson revealed internet searches on gun laws, border crossings, and Mexican immigration procedures in the weeks before the murder. Encrypted communications showed Bishop had repeatedly threatened Simone. On January 25, 2022, Jalen's therapist, Dr. Emily Thompson, testified about the severe psychological trauma the child endured. Although Jalen, now 4 years old, was deemed too traumatized to testify in person, recorded interviews with forensic child psychologists were presented, illustrating the devastating effects of the incident. The trial concluded on March 3, 2022, after 15 days of testimony. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours before finding Bishop guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder, attempted murder, child endangerment, and weapons charges. Bishop showed no reaction as the verdicts were read. During the sentencing on March 15, 2022, Simone's father, Michael Carter, addressed the court saying, "You didn't just take my daughter's life. You robbed a child of his mother, destroyed a family, and shattered countless lives. But Simone's legacy will live on through the lives she touched and the changes her death has inspired." Judge Martinez sentenced Bishop to life without parole for murder, plus 30 years for attempted murder and 15 years for child endangerment, with all sentences running consecutively. The judge cited Bishop's calculated planning, history of abuse, and complete lack of remorse in determining the sentence.